Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Overshot, a paintball podcast. I am one half of the team, Travis DeLayer. Jonathan Rowland, aka Waldo, is the other half of this program, and you'll see him in a second. This episode is with Tory Shrum. Tory is the host of Relic, a classic paintball podcast. We have a great conversation with him that we can't wait to share with you guys. But first, as always, you know what we got to do. We got to tell you about Dyzana Sports. Dyzana Sports, makers of the best joggers in the game, perfect amount of breathability and thickness, and of course price. Version 3 joggers are out. They are very mint. They have a perfect mesh on the side, and well, with rugged and reinforced knee pads for all your diving and sliding around. And of course, as always, you can get custom jerseys through them, as well as plenty of soft goods and the Grind Air gloves. If you want to find any of this stuff, you need to go to dyzanasports.com and check them out. And if you want to pick anything up, please support the show by using code OVERSHOT, and you'll receive 10% off everything in your cart. Truly a great company that has been with us for a long time. Another company that helps us out a ton is Volcano. Volcano is a gear bag company. I love my bag. It's perfect. It's a backpack. It's not a roller bag. It holds the perfect amount of stuff. I love to say that, national events, it's not always the best weather. So you put the thing on your back and you are good to go. Another feature I love about the bag, there are straps on the side that are specifically designed for you to put your setup on. So, your tank with the loader and the whole setup can go right to the side of the bag. I love that feature. I use it all the time. If you are interested in picking up one of the bad boys, you just head on over to volcanousa.com, and the code there is OVERSHOT10, and you'll get 10% off everything you order. And last but not least, the beautiful man Eric over at Evil Gerbil, custom-made headbands, custom jerseys, pants. Really, his stuff it's so good. Only headpiece that I use, and he's just an overall nice guy, local to our area. If you want to check any of the merchandise he has available to you guys, it's evilgerbilpaintball.com, and the code is OVERSHOT, and you'll get 10% off your purchase. As always, if you haven't already, please subscribe, rate and review, no matter how you consume our content, whether it is on YouTube or through podcasts. It really helps us out with the more subs and reviews that we have. So please continue to do that. Please show your support for the show. Without further ado, again, we're going to get to the episode with Tory, and we'll see you guys in there. Take it easy, guys. All right, guys, welcome back to the show. We have Tory Shrum here from Relic, a classic paintball podcast, joining us. A little podcast on podcast action here. Tory, man, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys.
All right, cool. Unfortunately, this is, the question we start off. Everyone that I don't know, and I don't know you, how did you get into paintball, man? I know I've listened to your episodes. I know you've been playing for a long time.
Yeah.
But how did you find this wacky game?
So it was actually with the church group, church youth group. I went, just gave it a try. It was just like, anybody else. And I really didn't get a chance to get bitten by the bug, so to speak, in that one trip. I got shot right behind the ear, one of the first times. But I did that. And then the guy that actually owned the field was a friend of my dad's. And then a couple of weeks later, he's like, "Hey, yo, I know you got a kid. I saw him out here not that long ago. One of my refs just called in sick. Do you think you'd like to ref some paintball or something like that?" And so really just kind of by immersion, I was stuck in it every weekend for forever. And
trying to get that money.
Yeah. And then really kind of got into it there. Didn't really do the whole play every weekend kind of thing or something like that. But same guy there was a tournament that had come up, and they like came up a guy short or something like that, and they asked if I wanted to play, and that was like my first experience in like playing competitively. And
That's
then I was
crazy.
kind
I
of
like your trajectory. It's very different. You went in from like playing one time to reffing. Like that had to be interesting because you got to see the game a lot, and I think you actually learn a lot from watching just by necessarily like running around. So did you find that like helpful actually going into the first time playing a tournament? Did you find that helpful at all?
so I got to say, like, I didn't really look at it that way. It was just kind of a job at
Okay.
that point. I
Yeah.
wasn't like, oh, how am I going to do this competitively? Let me see these like shot lines or anything like that. Like I was just
Right.
like,
Right.
oh, that meathead just got shot. He's out, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then
Player.
yeah, yeah. And then, I played the tournament and I was like, oh, this is way cooler than, I don't have to worry about 20 dudes hiding in a bush. I've only got 5 other guys on the other side.
Yeah, a couple landmines hidden out there. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
exactly. So really kind of the trajectory for that was like really kind of what got me going for playing competitively.
Cool, man. And then, so what was the first team that you played on?
That first team was called Oklahoma Twisters.
Okay, so is that where you grew up in like the Midwest?
Yeah, I'm actually originally from Western Oklahoma. We didn't move to the city till I was like a kid. So, funny story. I'm from a town like there's like Oklahoma City, and then you go like 2 hours west of there. There's another really small town called Clinton, and then you go another like 45 minutes from there. And I'm from a town like about 200 people called Butler, Oklahoma. Chris
Small
Rangel
town.
is actually from that same area. He's not from Butler, but he's actually from south of me from there.
That's wild.
Yeah, it was pretty funny to talk to him about like out west every time we see one another at events.
Yeah, wow. So you played your first tournament, and now the bug is starting to bite you a little bit.
It was. I think, yeah, I played that tournament, and then kind of got a little bit older, got like a real job, and then kind of started looking at like some of the other events and things like that, or some of the other places to play other than like the place that I worked at. Now that I'm working like fast food or something like that. And there was actually like
Right.
an indoor field that opened up in Oklahoma City for a little while called Fun Hits. And some of those dudes were like, hanging on the nuts of like some of the Texas Storm guys. And so that's kind of got introduced to like that scene. And then like close quarter, like paintball and indoor paintball and stuff like that. And from there, just kind of right over the ledge.
Boom. And what year is this?
That's probably about 1995, 96. In 1997, I moved from Oklahoma to North Carolina. And
Big
whenever I got
jump.
to North Carolina, I fell right into that scene at the right time.
Nice. Yeah, because there's a lot of like trauma and stuff like that from that era. There's a lot of good teams.
It's funny you should say that because like Jeff Gallatin and I actually worked together at a field whenever we were in North Carolina. Tyler Humphrey, I watched him come out with the church group to my local field, and we all kind of started playing together. Tyler was there, and then Brian Stewart from Trauma was there, and Stephen Porterfield from Trauma came out with his dad whenever he was like 12. And that's if you ever listen to like the Tyler Humphrey episode, he talks about us going to World Cup in '99, and like that whole group of us were together at the time.
That's so cool, man. So
yeah, it's a small world, man.
Right?
Very.
Did you find it difficult when you moved to like hop in? Because man, this may have been play the game, but I was listening to a podcast and they were just talking about how, like paintball is such a cool community because the second you even go to a field, you have something in common with everybody there, and that's paintball. And it makes it so easy to connect with your new teammates and new people. Did you find it difficult when you first moved to do that? Or did you find that because you all played paintball, bingo, we have something in common and we could talk about?
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and apologize. I'm probably going to jump on a lot of soapboxes here, but you did ask about that. And so I would say back then it was a lot easier to get into a scene than it is now. Like trying to get reps and stuff like that is just like next to impossible in a lot of local scenes. But back then, like it was unheard of. Like hey, who's the first 20 that, have paint and stuff like that, and let's go play.
All right, you're ready to get on the box.
Yeah.
No, right now it's just because you hear that a lot from especially people nowadays. They're like, "Oh, we're moving. Is it going to know?" But I have I don't know. I feel like if you do go to the field and there are a couple bad apples down, I know it's never going to be like how it was. Like that's why I always try and be like, if ever I'm playing with someone and see someone off on the side, like I always try and bring them in to kind of grow the sport in that way.
Yeah, that's always a good way to start that. Sorry, I actually whenever I was in North Carolina, found myself like at a local field. I was a ref there too, and that's kind of how I had more introduction and more face time with a lot of the players and stuff like that. But I was definitely much more interested in like playing competitively and stuff like that. But yeah, it's usually whenever now that I'm older and can like actually have gear and stuff like that, I'll have like extra gear with me whenever like some guy wants to try out new stuff, or
For sure.
you want to, hey, you get on the box. Actually, Bill Raber from GZ,
Yeah, I know Bill.
yeah, at the one of the local fields here, ended up doing that for me not that long ago. I'm also a veteran militia guy, so I rolled out there and all my dudes decided to flake on me that day, and then like Billy's all like, "Hey man, come on over here." So it was really cool. They did that, and I've been seeing him at events and bullshitting with him like ever since.
Yeah, no, I like Bill a lot. He's just 10 out of 10.
Yeah, he was just at that CFOA event this weekend, and it's just like hadn't seen him in probably like 6 months or something like that, and it was just like I saw him yesterday.
Yeah, that's the way he is. I see it like every time I see him in practice or anything like that, it's always big hug, and it's like, "Oh, dude, what's up, man?" It's always great.
Yeah, I felt bad in Chicago. I didn't get a chance to see him very much, but he always, we made sure that we, crossed paths before I left.
Yeah, dude, hell yeah. Cool. Let's get back to you though. So tell me about your first win, man. You're talking about the World Cup. So everyone remembers their first win. So walk me through that tournament.
That was a while, actually. It took years for me to get like a first place anywhere. So I guess fast forward probably 2000, 2001. So that's like years later. I was on a local team. I'm doing this right. There's GPC right here. There's a local team that I played on in North Carolina, and we were it's Atlantic Coast Tournament Series. Bambi Bullard, if you've ever heard that name floating around North Carolina, she was kind of in with. She had her own little series going on down there, and so we played that, and we ended up going to a tournament in West Virginia. I think we were out of North Carolina, but we drove to West Virginia to play, and there was like some teams that we had never seen before, like Kentucky Magic and stuff like that. And some people were like, "Oh, they're a really good team," and we went out there and just beat the fucking brakes off of them.
Oh, that felt good. I bet.
Oh yeah, and it sucked because that tournament series, it wasn't like you'd never had like a finals. It was just whoever had the highest points at the end of the tournament. So if you had like a shit draw or something like that, you may get your ass kicked all day and not get a point, or you may like play nothing but like scrum teams or whatever, and you get first place. But that event, we actually had a lot of really strong teams that we put it on them. So it was my first time to make first.
Dude, that's awesome. So I asked you because everyone remembers their first.
Yeah, I think it was my only first, but yeah, I do have a first.
I only have a couple.
I'll be legit with you, dude. I don't remember my first.
Yeah, that's nice. I do. I only have a couple. I keep both the medals in here.
I don't remember my first. Well, you do, because did you ruin it or did your brother ruin it?
Well, that's that was the second. I'll never forget that. I mean, I've told the story a million times, and I guess I'm gonna tell it again right now. So it was our first tournament ever. It's the first time my brother and I ever played. We got into paintball from playing big games and stuff, and then I met this kid, and he was like, "Yo, you and your brother are actually pretty good. I bet you would do well in like a woods ball tournament." So we entered this woods ball tournament, and fast forward, we get to the finals. And the time's winding down, and I'm like, we're pretty close to the flag. So I go, Dylan, my brother, I'm like, yo, go get the flag. If we get the flag first, we'll get the extra points and we'll fucking win. Go get it. He runs, he gets the flag, dives into his bunker. Time expires. We throw our hands up. Ref goes, player's out. He's eliminated. He left his gun in his bunker. He's more than 20 feet from the bunker. I'm like, we didn't know the rules, man. It's only our first tournament. We don't really read them like that. And now I'll never forget that.
Yeah, you keep that one in the back pocket every time you guys are drinking, like to toss it out just in case.
He left the medal in his car for like,
years
until the next tournament, and then he finally took it down once you got first. Then the first one there took it down.
Bro, because it's like I've been competitive my whole life, and even in that moment, I knew that winning is something that wasn't going to happen a lot, and we were so fucking close, man. So I always need to remember just to always work that little extra bit.
It'll definitely just that. I don't even know what I was trying to say there, but yeah, I understand. Like it's just that little voice, just a little bit in the very back. I always remember it.
And it's everything. Like that time, it was knowing the rules. But even when I'm doing drills, it's like, yo, do one more. Yo, do another snap. Just do one more. Like, because at the end of the day, I feel like every extra rep you do is hopefully one extra rep that someone's not doing.
Yeah, it's always about the work that you put in.
1000%, man. All right, cool. So let's I know we're gonna be jumping around like crazy all over the place
Hey man,
here.
it's good. I got ADHD and my meds are worn off, man. I'm all ready for it.
But you were
There we
just
go.
at the COFA. It was like super recent. I know you played there's been a few and we played a bunch. How was that event as a whole? I hear they're fantastic. I unfortunately have not been able
wanted
to
go. I wanted to
get
go.
that. I know I haven't been myself. I heard nothing but great things. So tell me about how great it was.
So T and I have been friends for years, and I don't want people to think that I'm just, like making comments because, like Tyler's the one that runs it or whatever. But
Right.
it was fantastic.
Because
He has the
I don't
ability
know
to.
Tyler, and I've heard nothing but good things about it from everyone that's gone. So
I mean, he was crazy when he was younger, but he's definitely like all business now. Still a great dude. Still business minded. Still consummate professional is a term that I don't use a whole lot, but someone who is like, how do we? Not only how does he, like put a good face out there for his field and stuff like that, but for the sport, for the industry, for the tournaments, things like that. And so there's a lot of fields out there that I promise I'm going to get to an answer for this, but I'm just trying to like do it justice. So there's a lot of fields out there where, so for instance, just take your pick of any iconic field and, they'll set something up, but then like there may be some like crazy, like bullshit, like over in the corner or some side of the field or something like that. Just whenever you get there, you're like, I never thought this was here. I never thought this is how it was. You know what I mean? And some people are like, well, it's what you get. It's a legendary field. This is how it is, No, Tyler's like,
man.
Yeah, exactly. But for instance, like the Mounds field at CFOA, like is immaculate. Best Mounds field I've ever played on, up to and including Pittsburgh. And that's saying something, because like that's what Pittsburgh's known for. But like this was like legit, like a good Mounds field that it's flattened out. Everything is like symmetric, things like that. So just the whole venue is put together meticulously. And then they stayed on schedule pretty good. I mean, I think like once or twice they wavered maybe like 5, 10, 20, 30 minutes or something like that. But to be fair, they were also fighting like, like daylight savings time. And so like, sun's going down like right at 5.
Yeah.
Put on a good event. And that was, I was at the very first one in July and it was absolutely miserable. Like I was melting the whole time.
It was
and then
hot, right?
During COVID, he moved it to December. And I don't mind playing in the cold, now playing in the cold and rain, that's a different story because it was definitely cold and rainy. But I had to miss the 2 consecutive after that because I was mobilized with the Navy at the time. And so I couldn't go just because of COVID rules and stuff like that. So this is the first one I got to go to, out of the 4.
Yeah. Well, so sorry to interrupt, but that's what you do. You're in the Navy, so you get to play it at random times and stuff like that.
No, so I'm a reservist now. I did 13 years of active duty. I did 11 years active, and then I became a reservist. And then as soon as I became a reservist, I got what's called mobilized, which basically makes you active duty again. So that's years of that deep now. But I'm actually 17 years in now, including reservist time. So like 3 years left. But yeah, I was in the Navy for quite a while, full time.
No, sorry to interrupt. Thank you for your service, man. I just wanted to
thank you for your support.
Before we get too deep into this, and I didn't bring it up, I wanted to ask you about it.
I got like where's it at? The veteran militia jersey.
Oh, I can only see the corner.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, I should say I try and do the best I can, but there's only so much you could do.
This is the only backdrop I got, man. So
it's all
I'm in my dining room. Like I took down my curtains and like put these up, so I got to change that back whenever I get up in the morning.
Well, cool, man. And then for people who don't know, you don't listen to your podcast, and we'll talk about it. We'll definitely get into that later. What team do you play for, and how'd you guys do?
Well, this event I played for a team called Tantrum. Tantrum was actually GPZ's. It's over here somewhere. GPZ's like sister team that played. So at the time that ATCS came out, or ACTS or whatever it is about the time that the CFOA was in its infancy and like first started. So Tantrum actually played CFOA, which come to find out later on was like a much harder tournament series than ACTS. So a lot of us have just been friends over the years. A lot of people were talking about that at the event this weekend about like, how we've all, and not just my team, but like some of the guys on like Trauma, some of the guys on Gridlock, things like that. Like I've known these guys for well over 20 years.
Yeah.
And so it was pretty cool to be able to sit down and talk to them. So I played for Tantrum. We didn't do too well. That goes sometimes, man. It's also an open tournament. We're playing like, Image and Gridlock and stuff like that. So.
And those scrappy dogs, dude. They had a bunch of killers.
Yeah. They've got a man. That's a whole mix of people. For sure.
Shout out to my boy James Butts, and from he used to play on CEP,
CEP.
and I think the Bloodhounds or something like that. I know for CEP for sure because that's where I met him from back in the day. He played with us on. I was on Master Blasters and he played with us, and then I roll up to ICC and I hop out of his van, his grandma's van or whatever. We took the van to ICC from Long Island, and I hop out.
Did I tell you my grandma sold that van? R.I.P.
Gone?
Yeah.
Legendary, dude.
Yeah, R.I.P. Sorry to interrupt, but the van is gone. R.I.P. We'll have a moment of silence for the van later.
Definitely have a moment for silence for that, man. That was a good trip. But so I hop out the van and I gave my boy like all my gear, and I actually got him hooked up with Tom Cole and Bad Company, whatever. So he's playing with them, but he has my gun, and I get out and he's like, "Yeah, I know you guys, GZ, Master Blasters, or whatever you're playing as now." He's like, "I know you have 100 guys." He's like, "Yo, we only got 9 guys. Can I borrow one?" I'm like, "Oh, I just came to like hang out. Like, if you need a body, like, I'll go play with you guys." So I went and I played with like all these like pro airball players, you know what I mean, and some of their friends, and we had a great time. I mean,
Nice.
I had to eat a little bit of my own words because it wasn't my team, because but because I was like, yo, how we literally, I think we tied every game, like every single game the first day we tied, except like one game we finally won, and it was the game I got shot like right away. So I was like, I'm just gonna get shot right away because
I hate those. I hate those games. You just like watch the whole badass game transpire from the dead box.
In the game, if I get shot right away, if I live to the end, which I did like every game, like I'm in their base, like trying to win it, and then it's like, why bodies to the middle, and I'm like, oh my god, another tie, dude. We're screwed. We're not gonna make it on. And then we played Image on Hyperball, and I'm like, yo, I know these guys. I've seen them play a million times. I'm like, they're just gonna keep coming. They're gonna be at the 50s, and if we shoot them, they're gonna keep coming. And like I told these guys, and I'm like, yeah, they're a pro airball team, Hyperball. Like that's as close as to what they know. You know what I mean? All right, I get like the mounds is a little tricky, the woods is a little tricky. The Hyperball should be as close as possible. We get waxed. Image waxes us, dude. They like they destroyed us. And I'm like, I told you this was gonna happen, guys. I told you where they were gonna be. And they're like, yeah, they just shot us. And I'm like, all right, whatever. I was like, it was a good weekend though.
Right? It's like, does it make it worse that you knew what they were gonna do and you still couldn't stop them?
That's the worst, dude. That's the worst. If you know where they're going and you still can't shoot them.
There's like Justin Kim on that team. That dude.
Justin Kim, dude.
That dude is a rocket, but he is
yeah.
hands down like one of the most unselfish players I've ever seen. Like if you watch the videos time and time again, if they're like, hey, we want you to go dive into the snake on your chin. We put a pile of bricks there, but that's what you got to do. You'd be like, okay, cool. That's my job. And if you watch him, like, I'd say probably like out of 10 games, like probably 7 of them, he gets shot on the break, and he knows he's going to get shot on the break, but doesn't stop him. That dude is just like straight in whatever I need to do. And I actually just talked to him the other day. He got picked up by Houston Heat, and he was like, "Yeah, man, these guys, yeah."
Let's
and he's
go.
like, "Yo, these guys." He's like, "I'm gonna learn so much from these guys," and I'm like, "That is hands down like some of the most humble shit I think I've ever heard somebody say."
Yeah,
so he's a good dude. He's a solid guy.
No, my brother and called him the magician because there are so many times where we'd watch him break out, and I'm like, he's dead. He's not making that run. I'm like, oh my god, he's alive. Okay.
Yeah, somehow he makes it.
But
work.
We can't do that. That can't be our plan. But something else I want to touch on that you mentioned, because I really like it too, is your open tournaments where there's no really ranks. I love it because as someone who hasn't been playing paintball for a ton, you're not going to make fun of me like you did, Christian, but it gave me the opportunity to play some of the best players in the world, but at a low rank. And whether you get your shit rocked or not, like I got to play Dynasty one time. Yeah, we got my shit rocked by Blake Yarber, but like that opportunity is yeah. I tried to snap shoot him. It was a great idea. It was like one of the best plans I've ever had in my life. But
that dude's got more pump time and snap shooting than some people have playing the entire sport.
Yeah, and I was like, I thought it was so good. I made it to my spot.
That's where he came from. I'm a nerd like that. I know that. I know, you know what I mean?
He did an interview.
Products, I think.
he did an interview on one of Maddie's podcasts a long time ago. Like, if I ever have time and sitting in the car, like podcast to podcast, like that's one to listen to. Like, that story is 1,000,000% entertaining, and it has like 2% paintball. Just talking about like traveling Europe, he got gored by a bull, like all kinds of stuff.
Dude, those are the best stories, man.
I definitely heard that one. I definitely heard that one.
That is hands down one of my favorite podcasts out of like all of them.
Yeah. I was like, when we're talking, was it Waldo? I think we were talking to Vegas, and he was like, "Oh, and then Mr. U picked up a bike and threw it at this guy." I was like, "Whoa, time out. You need to tell this whole story front to back."
Is that the brawl that was like him and Ollie and like Matty Marshall and all them out in Europe? Is that the one?
Yeah, Max Lundquist.
The infamous brawl.
And Alex or whatever.
Yeah, he just tried to glaze over that. I was like, whoa, time out. You just start from the beginning. I need to
There's
hear
other
this whole
parts
thing.
of this we need to talk about. Yeah.
You need to fill in the
gaps. You got to transition, bro.
I think Blonsky might have been there. They're probably all were there.
I'm sure. But anyway, let's back to my main question before we got off on this crazy tangent.
Sorry.
Is the open tournament? No, it's fine. I love it. But the openness, I love open tournaments. And it seems like you're a big fan of it as well. Yeah.
So 6-1 does another for the open tournaments. What I did like doing was the first Maryland ICC that I played, or not ICC, ICPL that I played was like the OG in PPLs, where it was you would have pros in your division that you had to play.
Right.
And usually it would be how you played your pro team would determine like how you fell out in the ranks as an amateur team.
No, right. Yeah, because I remember that when I was whatever color GZ we were calling ourselves. Right. And I remember that, and I was very bitch. I was like, we play more pro teams than the pro teams. This is horse shit.
Yeah, we did. We did.
So like that I don't mind, but like open, like you're gonna get a lot of really good experience, but you know you're not going home in the first place.
Yeah, it's really like top heavy, those tournaments, right? You don't get like that scrappy team coming and pulling it out.
Yeah. I mean, that's not going to happen. You're not going to get like an OG lockout or something like that just show up and like really beat the brakes off of people and they don't know where they came from, kind of thing. That's not going to happen at an open, not anymore anyway.
Right. Yeah, not. I mean, I've been playing. So I played SPPL, and then so that was like 3 flags and like a bunch of weird rules, and then UWO, which had like a heavy gunner.
Yeah,
which I think they should bring back the heavy gunner because that was sick. One person was allowed full auto. That was sick. I was at one time for like one period in 5-man, and it was like 10 minutes playing, and I was like, I don't even need. Like, I am my own back guy, and I'm just like mowing it down, and I'm like, and then I see my friend on the other team, and I'm like, yo, I gotta go get this dude. So I rip him up, but then I run out of bounds, and like, I'm like, the ref's like, yo, player, and I'm like, oh, my bad, whatever, and I run back, and my boy's like, yo, you're an idiot, you're never gonna be the heavy gunner again. I'm like, oh, come on, man, please, like, this was sick. I was full auto. I didn't even
mowing down trees.
I didn't even need a bunker. I was mowing down trees. I was
living behind my gun.
I was like, this is the sickest thing in the world. And he's like, no, I'm never gonna again. I'm like, all right, man, no big deal. We end up winning it or whatever. But it was just like
when that happened. Too. So I took a break in I joined in like 2005. So like all my disposable income went away in like 2005, and it took a long time to come back. So I took like a 13-14 year break, and I think like the UWL, and it went from PSP to NXL, and then like MPPO went away. Like all that stuff happened while I was gone. So I've been catching up on it over the years, learning about. I was like, wait, where the hell do smart parts go? Like why isn't this company? Things like that. So
that's true. So like a lot changed.
Still around. It's just different,
I've caught up to it, and there's other companies that have come and gone and things like that, and it's been quite the learning curve.
Right, coming back into it, but despite the fact you guys didn't have a good showing at the CFOA, I mean, it's still a good time. Like I said, Tyler Humphrey puts on a great event, and I'm looking forward to getting down to one, to be perfectly honest.
So he's actually this was the last event at that location. So that location has been there since.
Oh man, they're doing on time pretty much.
Like whenever I went, I think before I was even old enough to drink, I think I was like 19 or something like that. Like that was like Paintball Central has always been at that location. But times change. things happen, and now they're going to going to a new location. I don't know where it's at or the details or something like that. I just know that they're moving.
But he's going to continue to run these tournaments, you think?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's going to be a CFOA Classic next year. It's just going to be at the new location.
At the new location. I looked just for the person. Like I said, I see them. Tyler does a good job. So like wherever it is for me, I like a well-run tournament. I don't want to go to the one that's like a shit show.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. You don't pay money to go like stand around and like try to ask questions. Like, I'm just here to shoot people. Like, that's what I paid money to do.
Yeah. If I'm there going, what are they doing? They're what? Like, come on.
So Tantrum, I only play on like once a year whenever we do the CFOA. I actually play typically for ICPL. I play Fight Club Factory Soap.
Oh, okay, sweet. Okay.
Yeah. I got a buddy. Actually, the first guest I had, Quaz, Alex, on Fight Club, got me hooked up with like a Spence over at Fight Club. And so like every major event, he tries to make sure that, you know, people have the chance to fly under the Fight Club flag. So I've been playing with Fight Club for probably like 2 years now.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice.
They usually have a couple lines too.
Yeah. Like Chicago, they kept asking us like, how many freaking lines do you guys have? There's like Fight Club,
not enough.
Factory Soap, and there's Fight Club Mayhem, and then Fight Club, you know, like AARP, and like Fight Club, like there's just so many of them. But it was still a good time though.
Yeah, and they so they mainly just do the ICPLs and like ICC and stuff like that. They don't do like CFOA. Does Fight Club do any of the other like 10-man stuff?
So typically right now, I don't want to speak on behalf of Fight Club, but my understanding is so like they do ICPLs. But then whenever you have, and they'll do, whenever it was still Iron City Classic, they're the ICC, they went as Fight Club. Now, as far as the Pittsburgh Classic, I don't think they did that. But if they did do it, I think they do it under Spence's, like, unless there's going to be more than 50% of like the normal rostered guys, I'm not going to fly under the Fight Club. So I think he was like Fat Kid Army or something like that. I think is who they played as at CFOA.
That's funny. Yeah, we'll just gloss over the whole ICC thing. I don't even want to talk about it. I'm still kind of upset about the whole thing.
I've got my own opinions about it too.
What do you mean lost? What does that mean?
What do you mean?
What do you mean? That's what I'm with.
I mean,
there's the big ICC that was up in New York this year, and then there was.
It's never going to be what it was. That's what I mean.
Pittsburgh.
What it was those couple of years is dead, and it'll never be that again.
That's why this one means so much to me.
Yeah.
All-Star, yeah.
That was the last actual like ICC, so that's why that one means so much to me. It's not just like a regular jersey. It's like it'll never happen again.
Because tell me I'm wrong. I mean, I didn't go to this year, and I didn't go to the other one that they had at PSI, but I mean, it just seems like that. Those couple of years, man, those 3 years.
That one at PSI was garbage, dude. That was garbage. I don't care.
Your words, not mine. I wasn't there.
That was garbage. My words, it was garbage.
Well, it seems like
because you've run a paintball, just because you have experience doesn't necessarily make you good at running events anymore. Like, we're not watching black and white TVs anymore, you know. So times change. That's what I'm gonna say on that one.
Well, I mean, even if it was like a really well-run tournament and they had all the fields they needed and everything ran on schedule and it was a really nice tournament, it's still not what Tim put together.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's not the Iron City. It may be like, you know, the Classic up there. That's great. And if they run a good tournament, then that's awesome. But it's not what everybody came together for, if that makes sense. And I think really you kind of saw that with, you know, people put their money where their mouth was this year. And so whenever they had the Pittsburgh Classic, like, no, it wasn't the ICC, but there was a whole lot of teams that were there.
I wasn't there, but I heard there were a whole mess of people there.
So my wife's from Pittsburgh. And so I spent a lot of time up there, and I would have gone definitely if I didn't take my kid to space camp this summer.
Hey, be a dad, dude. It's worth it.
Yeah, man. Any day of the week.
Hell yeah. And so are you going to the next ICPL coming up with Factory So Club? I mean, no, it's a couple like month away, but actually, I mean, it's creeping up. It's probably like 2 months away, less than 2 months away at this point.
Tiki's.
Is that where it is? I think it says TBA. Is it official that it's at Tiki's?
No, the first one's Tiki's in February.
Yeah,
I hate to say that I probably will not make either one of the majors this year just for scheduling purposes or whatever. Now, hopefully they do have a Maryland event, or hopefully they do have a Pittsburgh event, like an affiliated event, and I can go to those. Who's the one that put together that Woods Ball 7-man hyperball over at? Is that you? My hat's off to you, sir, because you are saving my bacon this year. Like, I actually have like something to go to, and I also have to say, and I meant it when I say it, or whenever I said it on social media, like whenever you looked at because you had the dates out for a while, and then NXL came out, and then you moved the date. So that's pretty solid. That's what I meant. I meant when I said about, making sure that players had a chance to didn't have to choose between like national and regional events, if that makes sense. That's a pretty solid move on your part, bro.
Yeah, man. I try to do what I can for the players, and then just like looking into it and stuff like that. The big thing about making the push is like you said, you're like, oh, if my guys, it's gonna be hard. And then I was looking at some other teams, and I was like, GG Gold's got Revo players, so now half their team, and then I was looking at some other teams, and I'm like, it's just gonna make it hard on everybody. Where that's like the last thing I want people to think about. It's just like it's just like it's already hard to get 10 people, or I'm sorry, I'm doing 7, man. 7 people or 8 people. You really need, you're going to need 8 because, one of the guys is going to be a little bit older, so you're going to need somebody else. So,
would I blow my knee
you're going to at least need 8, no matter what. It's hard to get 8 guys together already. And then if half of them already have prior obligations to other things, then, this isn't, it's the same reason why probably ICPL went with 2 major events is because this isn't the main thing for a lot of people. This is the other thing for a decent amount of people. Like, if you had 5 ICPLs, like, you're not getting Infamous to come to 5. You're not getting Cap Factory guys or whoever.
Cap Factory, that is like the dark horse as far as them being able to just throw people together for an event. They can do that, but any banner that's flying under NXL is going to be tough to get, like a good string of dudes to show up instead of being at NXL. Yeah,
Cat Factor, I think they needed a guy, and it was like, oh yeah, JC Whittington, you live close to Maryland, like, come on, let's go, buddy.
Oh, dude, that's a name. That's OG. That's OG Bad Company right there.
Yeah, that's OG. He played. So this is the first time we're bringing Woods Bowl Tournament Series back since, dude, I don't even know. But that was his first tour. That was his first tournament. Like, the one time I had Tom Cole wanted my date. He really wanted the date at OXCC for UWL, and it was like I already had the date for WTS, and he's like, "Yo, what can we do? I really need that date." And I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know. What do you think? And he's like, I have no idea, dude. What you want, money or something? I'm like, nah, I don't really care. Like, I was like, why don't you play it? How about that? If you put a team in, and I'm not giving you any breaks or any deals, but you put a team in, I'll switch the date or whatever. And whatever date I pick, you have to bring a team. And he's like, all right, I'll do it. Which was probably just the same as it. So he ends up showing up, and
is that how you got him to play that? That's fucking crazy.
I really remember him giving out jerseys right there, and it was old Spider stock of it was some camo jersey or something that they had. It was green and brown or jersey or something, and he's they're all opening the packages, and then it's I remember Sean Henderson, because I know Sean Henderson from other things, but Sean Henderson was on there. Sean Henderson's wearing a camo hoodie or something, and I'm like, whatever, dude, just whatever you guys. And they're wearing pod packs fresh out of the thing, and they're some of them are shooting spiders, and some of them are shooting old autocockers, and Tom Cole's playing in his typical Tom Cole attire, khaki pants and and for some reason there was a die demo that day there, and the dam just came out, so he's shooting a die dam with with the magazine or something. It was crazy, dude. It was nuts. They didn't fare too well, but he came out and played my event. It was whatever, dude. WTS. I've had Bad Company play. I've had Image play. I've had Team the Violent Gentleman, which was Revo. So I've had some dudes play. The Blonsky brothers have played. I've had some Alex Lundquist played.
Yep.
So if you hadn't seen
I've had all these OG dudes play for a bunch of all over the different years or whatever. But it's been sick, dude. It's been cool. It's been Rosie, but like I had Rosie ref my X-ball event last year. That was probably one of like the coolest things to me because I like needed refs, and I'm like, Rosie, man, please, I really need a guy, and I'm like watching him ref, and like obviously, he's not running and like diving to like whatever, and like the one time the ref's like, yo, man, this ref on the other side of me, he's not really I'm like, listen, dude, that guy is like 60-something years old. I'm
Well,
like,
you watch your mouth when you talk about Rosie
I'm
like
like,
that,
if
boy.
he's not doing it, I'm like, if he's not doing it, it doesn't need to be done right now. I'm like, listen, or just have someone next to him do it, whatever. I'm like, I'm like, if guy sees something, he's gonna call the person out. If he has to go do that, he'll go do it. But if he doesn't need to do it, he's not gonna do it. Like, the guy used to be the head of the whole NXL. I'm like, not the NXL, that happened like 3 years ago. I'm like, the OG NXL. And then when it was PSV, I'm like, this guy has reffed every major tournament, series thing. He was the ultimate. He's build fields. I'm like, just let him. I'm just telling you, I'm your boss. Just let it be. Just let him be. I'll let him be, dude. The guy. It was an honor for me. He wrote the nicest thing. He was like, your refs are great, and this, that, and the other thing. And I'm like, dude, this guy's like, because I don't get like that really with nobody. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not like, oh yeah, Barb. Like I said those names before, but like,
What do you mean, dude? You send me love messages all the time. Stop lying to the people.
If Tom Cole called me right now, I'd just pretend like, yeah, I didn't know who he was. Like I did when I first got his phone call. He's like, you know who this is? I'm like, do you know who I am? And he's like, it's Tom Cole. I'm like, yeah. What do you need, Tom? Well, I need you to change your date. All right, Tom. Just play my event. We're good. We'll change it. Don't worry.
Actually, I was bullshitting with Mike Zapp the other day on Messenger, and I told him about the event. He was like, "Wait, what?" I was like, "Yeah, man, there's a 7-man going on at OXCC." He was like, "On it." And next thing I know, like there's
Washington Winston's.
Yeah, right on there. So it'd be cool seeing him.
Oh, dude, sweet. So you'll be at that. I'll definitely be there.
Yeah, be a good time, man, for sure. Especially since it's only a day. I think I'm taking my RV up there like the day before or something like that, and a bunch of guys are coming down, crashing with me.
Hell yeah, let's go. All right, cool. So let's get into kind of something you started recently, and something that we have something we share in common is the podcast. So why did you want to start a podcast and want to ruin the rest of your life and forfeit all your free time like I do?
Right, exactly. Try to figure out how you're going to pay for it to get sponsors or whatever. I still haven't figured that part out. That's
yeah, I haven't either. The StreamYard and all the stuff we use take the money out of my account every month.
Yeah, I just use like whatever's free. That's probably why my post-production is garbage, but it is what it is. So kind of a little bit of a selfish reason and kind of not a selfish reason. So
we need content, so it's not selfish.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of how to put it. So just hear me out whenever I say this. So obviously I said, like I played with Tyler and all them and stuff like that. And I watched them like, become like this powerhouse of a team and just like crushing Russians, things like that, just what they were.
Right.
And whenever they started doing that, I was like, I played alongside with them for a really long time. And then it got to the point where like I couldn't afford to go to, like I had a car payment, I had a job, things like that. Like I couldn't go to like Central all the time and pay for it. And so I, watched all my friends go off and like just become like, this powerhouse team, and it was great. But, I was kind of doing my own thing somewhere else. And so part of the reason that I started the podcast wasn't to like, I haven't like looked for like Chris Lasoya. I haven't looked for like a lot of the big name guys. Like no doubt a lot of people have heard their stories and they have good stories, and they rightfully so get some, get to have, like their day in the limelight or whatever, because they are who they are. But part of the reason that I started it was because like the reason I have like Manny Franzia on, things like that. There's other players on the team. They're not winning these games by themselves. And so there's other players that people like never heard of. Like nobody, it wasn't until like Dino Yario is the one that like broke his leg, like fucked his leg up. And then that's how like Manny got a spot on the team. No one knows who Dino Yario is, but there's these names on these teams that people like never heard of that we're part of this powerhouse that made it what it is. And so that's part of why I started the podcast, was because there's all these stories out there that no one's ever heard. No, they're never going to hear unless you go looking for these people. And there's teams out there that, like Chad Rule, I'm so excited I got to talk to him, because like I'm such a lockout geek, like an OG lockout geek. Like there's all these other teams out there that are Die sponsored or Smart Part sponsored or whatever. And then here comes a bunch of grungy dudes from like New York rocking like Scott masks and like cotton long sleeve t-shirts and just beat the fucking brakes off of people. And like they never see it coming. Like I'm an underdog fan big time, but like those stories will never get told unless someone asks about them, if that makes sense. And so that's really kind of what got me started. And luckily, like, you know, the whole ICPL, ICC, things like that, now there's new blood in the system. And so now you can talk to other people about their classic experience that are just now getting into it. So luckily, you know, I'm going to have like something to pull from, if that makes sense. But goddamn, dude, I got to get people to answer phone calls or texts or whatever. And some people are just living their lives and they don't want to talk about paintball anymore, you know?
Yeah.
And that's fine. Do that. I get that. You know, I'm really happy that people take the time to talk to me about like their experiences and shit. But really, that's kind of a long-winded answer of there's just all these stories out there that have never gotten told. And like, that's what I'm out there to try to find. If that makes sense.
No, it makes a ton of sense. And you're so right. It was part of the reason like that we started the same thing, you know, like I'm lucky enough to have the opportunity to play with players like Rosie and Mooner and stuff like that. And through playing with them, I've just listening to them talk to each other. I'm like, we got to like, there's so many of these stories that like no one knows, or like they have so much advice that could be given to younger players and stuff. Like we got to like do something.
I don't know if I connected those dots that like, you know, there's other people out there that didn't get to like make it all the way and wanted to talk to them too. And that's kind of like where I was going with that story.
Right. Cause like there's people that don't even like people are talking about, like he didn't even know who Rosie was. Like that's crazy to me.
Yeah,
there's people that don't know, dude. There's people that don't, like when Oliver Lane came back, they didn't know. They don't know that. They didn't know that guy. You know what I mean? It's been 7 years, dude. Like, think about like Oliver Lane. Who the hell is that, dude? Ryan Greenspan's the best.
To me, like those guys are like the dynasty. And I'm trying to stay off soapboxes here. Dynasty to me is almost kind of like the Alabama of paintball teams. Like, you're right. Okay, I get it. You guys are really fucking good. Like, give someone else a chance. But at the same time, they had a slump, you know, and they crawled their way back to the top. And so that's rightfully so. That you know, hats off to them. They earned everything of it. And same thing with you know, the reason I like them is because they did it in 10-man. They did it in 7-man. They're doing it in X-ball. Like
every iteration of paintball.
Dude.
Yeah. I don't care who you are, man. Like it takes a real team to do that. And it's also the same core group of friends that have been doing it the whole time. So hats off to those guys. I can never say anything bad about them.
Yo, but shout out to Glenn Forrester and Rodney Squires, because anytime I've ever seen them or gone against them, I don't care who they're playing with at whatever ICPL or ICC or whatever whoever they're playing with, some random 10-man, you know, pickup game. I don't even care, dude. Those two dudes, I see them and I'm like,
well, there he goes, first place. Yeah.
I'm like, there goes this game. Like, I don't know, man. I'm not too afraid of anybody, but like those two dudes, like, and then even oh my god, I think it's Glenn Forrester's brother. He plays too sometimes, and like they played, because I've seen them play. So when I used to play like UWL and this, like I've seen them play on GBD, and then I would see Rodney playing like 3 divisions, because like Tom Cole would just be like, well, he's like older, so like we'll let him play everything. So he'd be playing like tactical, which was like amateur.
The divisions are like the Wild West, man.
Novice, dude, it was crazy. It was crazy. He'd be playing pro, and I'd be like, oh, like we're in the lowest division. We shouldn't have to see Glenn Forrester. Oh, there he is. He's the one pro or whatever. You know what I mean?
And the heavy gunner, woohoo!
Getting somebody from GBD is who I'd like to get on the podcast next. If I can find somebody.
The man, deadly man, they were sick.
Just teams that people have forgotten about at the time, unfortunately.
You know, like I'm a nerd, so like I know that stuff a little bit, and not like, you know, they flew under that banner for you know, like Woods won UWL, but GBD, they're fucking. Sick,
force to be reckoned with. Tour de Force, GBD, like all those old teams that a lot of people just don't know about anymore.
Yeah, right. Because even like, so I'm someone that's only been playing for I'll have to go back on Facebook. I think I got memories that are like 8 years ago when I see myself like for the first time playing. And so I wasn't around for them. So even for me, it like to really find out about them, like I had to seek out Push and a lot of those old movies and stuff like that. Like it's kind of weird that like it's like not even like really spoken about anymore. It's like so weird.
If you get a chance, you need to try to find. So obviously, like I said, I started playing in '94. I made a comment of what's that?
I was 7. I was born in '87.
Nice. So I made a comment about it whenever I had done the interview with Mark that a lot of people grew up on Push, and that was a great documentary. It was a fantastic documentary for our time. I grew up on something called Iron Man Road to Glory, and this
I remember you talking about that.
Yeah, and that's like you watch Marty Bush go out and stomp people with a pump sniper. I'm not kidding. Like out there with like a right feed sniper just mowing through people. And man, if I could ever get him on the podcast, but he's doing his own thing. Like I said, some people just don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, it happens. I wish I could say no one's ever ghosted me, but I get ghosted plenty of times by people when I try to get on the show
all the time. And you got like all you got's like hey, I'm taking your time.
We're trying to help you, man.
Yeah.
Sell yourself for like an hour. Maybe an hour 20, maybe 2 hours. For
sure.
Whatever. We'll see. You can sell yourself. You can sell your brand. Whatever you want to do. I have no rules.
I'm trying to remember which podcast I was listening to that they were interviewing Micah McLaughlin from Iron Man, and he was talking about like how Marty Bush would like just come over to his house. I think he was like a kid or something like that, and like picked him up, and, like took him over to like an Iron Man practice or something like that. But Micah's got you ever heard of PBSL?
No,
I've heard the league. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like a tournament series, and this might wrap back into what we were talking about earlier about the community and getting people to play. It's a tournament series out in California, and before I started doing like the Fight Club stuff and ICPL really kind of took off during COVID, I was like, man, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do, because like I'm in Southern Maryland, and so like if you ever look at a map, there's like DC, and then it like goes down into a peninsula. Like there's only one way to get out of here. There's only like 2 highways to get off this whole peninsula.
And we live on Long Island. You got to tell us.
No, I don't live on Long Island. I don't live on Long Island anymore. Now I live in Annapolis, Maryland. So maybe.
Oh, do you?
We could. Yeah, actually.
Nice, man. That's where my youngest kids were born.
Oh.
But yeah. So for a little while, like I think there's Brawl like down the street. Like they're a pretty good semi-pro team. But I'm never gonna play like enough to try to do that.
They played one of my events, TS6O one time. We had like a kind of like an open, not open, but semi-pro division. So there were 2 pros, and Harrison Fry and Brett Messer from Infamous ended up winning it.
That's right. Yeah, I'm Bay State Bandits.
Them, Brooklyn Bears, which most of those guys ended up joining Seattle Thunder.
Yep.
And then Brawl, High Wrecking Crew, they just got. Well, they didn't win the series, but they won a lot in D3, NXL. I don't remember the other. I think Master Blasters played. But Brawl was there, and Brawl was.
They just make it work. Tom and his boys, I don't know. They just make it work. It just happens. But trying to get spins out there obviously is tough. Trying to get spins over like NR stuff like that, it's also tough. But this PBSL that Micah runs out in California, it's like the logo is like it's got like a card deck. So they have I think they have 52 guys show up, and then they just like deal out cards, and they're like 4-man teams. So whoever get the card gets the same like 4s or 3s or whatever. Like that's the team.
Yeah.
You've never met the guys before ever, and that's the team. And it's like mechanical only. I think I don't know if it's gravity fed hoppers only, but Amish ball as I like to call it.
But, something like that. Yeah.
I like that idea though.
It would be really cool to see a lot more of that, I think.
Yeah, a lot of things up here that they do like draft tournaments where they have like a couple captains and then they pick players. I guess that's like the closest thing to that, which I think is cool too. It's
Even
really
that's a great idea. Something to, again, I don't want to get on the soapbox here, but as far as X-Ball goes, but something to kind of rejuvenate the community. You know what I mean? And shit like that, like the Tin Mans. I think I was talking to like Russell up at Chicago, and he was like, everybody's here, they're smiling, they're having a good time. It's like the only people you see smiling at X-Ball tournaments are the ones that win, and that's only when they win. Dude. Other than that, it's but
and it's because they won like $10.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah. But we need more of that, man. We need more people smiling at events. More people want to go to events and have a good time. You know what I mean? And that's not obviously I'm not dissing on like TSXL. I know you got a series to run and stuff like that, but if you ask my opinion about X-Ball, it's not that great, but you didn't ask me, so I'm not gonna put it out there.
It don't matter to me, man. You know what I mean? X-ball, woods ball, big games, well, whatever. Me personally, I'll play anything. Like I said, I got I got 2 leagues. I got my X-ball league and I got my woods ball league. So whatever kind of flavor you like, I've done kids camps before. I have a gel blaster business that does mobile gel blaster
My
parties
kids
on Long
absolutely
Island.
love that shit.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring it to Maryland, but that's 2023.
Gotcha.
We're working on it. We're working on it.
I'll keep an eye out
Maybe
for it.
First party will be at your house, dude. We'll
Right?
come down, we'll blow it up.
I got triplets
gel
plus one,
blaster.
man. I got plenty. I got a big enough group of friends. We're good.
Yeah, dude.
Let's go.
I'll bring
cool.
my niece and nephew down. They'll challenge your kids. We'll be good, dude. We'll be sick.
Good times.
3? You have 3, right? You said?
I've got 4 actually. I've got triplets plus 1.
All right, so I got 3. All right,
Nice. So plus you got a 5-man team. Let's go.
Right?
Yeah, basically,
All right. Nothing's gonna scare my daughter, man. She'd be into
Gel
the
blaster
rest of
league,
the
dude.
So Waldo did something actually that he took a ton of flack for on with his league coming up, and I want to hear your opinion because I know you don't really like X-Ball, and I think you might like this. Is that he's going to blind layouts this year for his tournaments, and of course,
Absolutely.
of course, that post had like probably 9,000 comments on it, and yada yada. Everybody flipping out, but I like it because I think it doesn't matter. You just get the work on. What does it matter if you know the layout or not? Put the work in, and I'm a fan of your podcast. I've listened to you talk about how expensive it is the 2 weeks and for this, that, and the other thing. So what do you think? Is Waldo ruining his league by doing this, or do you like it?
So I think he's going to have better players come out of it.
Oh, for sure.
If that makes sense. So anybody that can go
told
play,
like my guys too, is like all that means is that it's not just the 2 weeks before the event. This is every day. Push-ups, sit-ups.
any bounce shot you're going to get in that event is going to be organic. Someone's going to figure it out on the fly, which means that person is going to have that kind of move organically on the fly, make them a better player, work better with their team, things like that. It is what it is. You're not going to see the same breakout from every team because every team has figured out what the breakout is. Yeah, and it's I'm older and my body's falling apart like old people do, and so it's doing these 2 weeks. I mean, it's great if you can go to an event and play and do well and things like that. Good on you. I don't want to take anything away from people that like really, really dedicate themselves to like eating right, exercising, doing the things they need to do to be like the best X-ball player they can be. Like good on you and do that. I get that, but there's a much larger population who can't do that. It shouldn't be everything. That's how I feel. Like that should be a part of it. Like nutrition and being fit should be part of it, but it shouldn't be like 90% of it. Yeah, I mean, and to some extent, that's as close as they're going to be that's as close as some of these guys are going to be to a professional athlete, but the money is never going to be there. So it's never going to pay off unless paying off for you is like first places, but memories and good times, baby. Yeah. But I mean, it's a really long-winded answer, but some people can hate on it and shit on it all they want to, but I guarantee like anybody who comes out of that series as good players will be better than someone who has 2 weeks to practice on a layout because they will organically be better, if that makes sense. No, I couldn't agree more. And I don't think anybody can argue that. No, I don't think you can. And I think it'll only help you if you're someone who does play those national events. Like it'll only help you when you do get to practice the layout for 2 weeks, it'll give you more of you might be able to read the field quicker and even have a better understanding, Yeah, man, I hate so many times I go to these events. I don't know if you saw the post I made when I was at CFOA. I was like, I'm the only guy here at 9 a.m. to walk these fields. Like, where the fuck is everybody? No, I'm sure enough, I'm with you, man. Like, Jeezy, like we've already talked about, like the Jeezy chat. Like, everyone's got to be there the day before, like hands down. Yeah, my wife was like, "Why the hell are you going down the day before?" I actually found a good spot. I found a really good spot on the Mounds field, and I ended up trading out with the dude. But if I hadn't walked the field, I never would have known that guy would have been there. You know what I mean? Right. Yeah, we draw diagrams of the fields too in a notebook and everything. We go hard. Yeah. But long-winded answer. Like I said, you're going to have better players come out of it, and people talk shit all they want to and be angry or whatever, and that's fine. And whatever, you're going to have better players come out of it.
I'm used to it. That one actually had, I think, the least amount of like.
Damn, you got to do more controversial stuff, man.
This is bullshit. Like a lot of people were like, "Yeah, Yeah.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
There should
Yeah.
be more
Yeah.
of that.
Mhm.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And I don't know, like I just feel like a lot of people are just like, if you don't come up with like, all right, I get it, I'm a paintball player, like so like sometimes when people get angry and like, motherfucker somebody or like or like get mad at a ref or whatever. Like I'm like, listen, or like argue with someone. All right, I get it, but at the same point in time, it's like you don't need to be so like I don't know, man. Like I seen posts about like the NXL. I'm like, did you guys not know there was a hurricane? There's a legit hurricane.
Yeah,
Like,
the day before.
all right, I get it. And they did what they could, and they literally were like, all right, let's not have people sign up Saturday night and whatever for 10-man Sunday. Like we're closing off registration and we're literally postponing it a day, and we're gonna cancel the All-Star game or whatever. And I'm like, you guys will complain and complain about this, that, and the other thing, but you really don't complain because literally you're the first team signed up the next event. And
People
that
are
same
always
guy that complained is you're literally so that's
It's
what
only on the
I
internet is
learned
where they
through all
complain.
this with running my league and stuff like that. I'm just like, all right, listen, some of it's legitimate, some of it's right, like all right, like this is this field, the mounds, or this field, or your bunkers are BS or whatever, they're deflating too fast, this, that, and the other thing. Some of it's all right, and some of it's just like you're like, dude, like, oh yeah, I wanted a hurricane to come in and destroy the venue and then fix up the poles and be here. Like, I really wanted to do that, or I wanted to run it in the dark because we had a hurricane the day before. Like, like I
People
wanted
are
my
gonna
last
find
point.
something. Yeah, people are always gonna find something to bitch about, man. All you can do is
Mhm.
really try to. If you are honestly putting like your best foot forward and trying to just bring a good product out, that's all you can do.
Right.
Shit
Right.
happens and you roll with it, man. But it's just like playing paintball. Like first 20 seconds of the game is really all you have control of, and after that, it's a crapshoot.
Yeah, just dude, it's whatever.
But
Yeah,
if you're trying and you're running 2 leagues, right? If you
Yep.
want a fucking better league, start a league.
That's what I always say to people when they
People are gonna
bitch
find
about
shit to
them.
bitch about, man. But hats off to you for, like Jason Trozen. Whenever I was watching people just
Rip them apart sometimes.
rip him apart in Chicago, that dude was a professional about it. He was like, "Hey, thank you for your time." Obviously he's been doing it for a little while, so he's kind of got some thicker skin about it. But if you're trying to bring a good product to, everybody, then who you gonna have a hard time to,
Right. Oh, cool, man. I got a couple more questions for you. I know you've been here for a hot minute. I do appreciate all the time.
That's
I know
fine,
you
man.
got
I
a
got all
family.
night. Sorry to keep going off on tangents. I'm
No,
not
I
even
love
sure
the
if I answered your
tangents.
first question.
That's
But
paintball, baby. That's podcast, baby.
Right. But I know you got a couple jerseys behind you. I'll be remiss. Which one is your favorite that you got in your collection?
yeah, Maddie's for sure.
The Maddie.
But just because of what it is, like obviously, I got that from Blake in Chicago, and solid dude, just as chill as down to earth, man. I've got such a respect for down to earth people, and that's part of why Maddie was actually ended up sitting down with him at a bar at the first Maryland. Ryan, it's actually, I take that back. That is not my favorite. Let's see if I can. I've got it up here somewhere. So let's see if I can turn it here so you can see it. Actually, my fat head is right in the way.
Was that a
So
Lane
this
Wright
is-
jersey, I think, too, in between there?
What's that?
What jersey is right next to the Martin Marshall? Is that a Lane Wright? I can
This
only
one?
take the lights to the letter. Yeah.
No, this is actually. So this is.
Oh, Grant. Okay.
Nope. This is Ryan Hart. Is the guy who
I know. I'm like, there's a T. I see a T for sure.
Yeah. So Ryan Hart played. He was one of the back players for Trauma, all the way from like 10-man all the way to 05 World Cup. I stopped playing at 05 to join the Navy, and that dude never skipped a beat as far as like just being a friend of mine. Like I stopped playing the sport, and he's like, "Okay, cool. I don't give a shit, whatever." And he was still there like every day to hang out or talk or bullshit. Whenever I'd give him a call some random weekend, whenever I was on training in some other part of the country, like he'd pick up the phone, like nothing ever changed.
Yeah,
and he's been there the
dude.
entire
That's awesome,
time.
man.
And he won with Gridlock this weekend down there at CFOA.
Let's go.
Sick.
Yeah. So this is actually so the first Maryland event we played with Tantrum as a 10-man, and didn't do that well. We had a good time, whatever. And then just logistics is really hard to keep 10 men together. So I started playing with Fight Club or whatever, but he came and played with us. And I don't know if you ever watched Airtime Paintball whenever it was on. It's a kind of a Dave Arkell was a guy that was doing like gun reviews and stuff like that. He had a YouTube channel for a little while. He was actually a friend of ours from way back in the day.
That name sounds familiar, but I don't know the thing you're saying.
And he ended up coming to that event too. So there's a picture of the three of us that I have. And then I have another photo of us from like 2001 playing together on another field at that West Virginia tournament where we took first place, actually.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. But that's my favorite. Like Matty, he was a great dude at that Maryland event. Actually sat down with Ryan. Nice.
Oh, that's right. I forgot you got that.
Well, it's a remake, but I had to
Who cares?
It, dude.
Yeah.
I watched this movie like 4,000 times, dude. Heroes for a Day.
Sunday.
No, it's Heroes for a Day. For a Day.
Yeah, Heroes for a Day. That's a good.
I watched
documentary.
That monologue in the beginning. I could watch literally like a fucking million times.
It's funny because actually, whenever I left the CFOA, I had that fat welt on my neck that he was talking about.
Cool, man. And so you've only had like a handful of guests, but you have some really cool ones. Mark Knopp and a couple others. Who's been your favorite person to talk to so far?
I'd say it's a toss-up between Roland Isaacs and Manny from Misfits. Like those two dudes are just, I see him still to this day. Like whenever I see him at events, like I just talked to him like the day before, like just down to earth. I've got so much respect for down to earth guys. Not to say that like any of the dudes that I talk to have big heads or anything like that. Right. But like just down to earth people I have a lot of respect for. And those two dudes are absolutely just like, salt of the earth kind of guys.
Yeah, it's awesome. And so I listened to the Mark Knopp one, I think yesterday or the other day. What was his backdrop like in Croatia? Could you see it? Like that's
it's just his apartment. Like it was his apartment, and he had damn it, I forgot about that. He's actually kind of pissed that I didn't have a YouTube to put that on.
That was cool. Because I'm like, dude, that's crazy. He's doing this from Croatia right now. So I was like, do you have like a 6-seating view behind him or anything like that?
No. It was just his apartment. He's got like just push masks just like piled up on both sides of him or whatever. I've got videos of like every one of these. Actually, Stephen Porterfield, I interviewed him. I used to play with Trauma back in the day, but we played 99 World Cup together. I think he was like 12 years old whenever I first met him. But I tried to do an interview with him, and it's just like there's so much background noise and stuff like that. But if it was like a YouTube short, it'd be great because it's just us bullshitting at the field. Yeah. But at some point, whenever I figure out how to put together a YouTube, because right now I've got my job, the reserves. I'm going to school. I've got 4 kids.
You're a busy guy.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. So at some point, whenever I finally figure out how to get a YouTube channel going, people actually get to watch these videos. I think I interviewed Nick Wyrick from Iron Horse, and he's like showing off like this whole library of guns that he has, and everybody can just kind of use their imagination. I feel like an asshole now thinking about it because like, he's got all this stuff in the background, but at some point I'll get a YouTube together and people can actually watch them. But until then, Mark's kind of pissed that I didn't have one, but I'll get there when I get there.
Right. The fact that you got a lot of those stories out there, like just hearing him talk about Push and how like the whole thing got started, I thought that was very interesting. Like I didn't know a lot of that stuff about how, they pretty much fronted it themselves and stuff like that. I found that very interesting. Yeah, for sure. It's really cool to see a lot of the people in the industry kind of start from the ground up. You know what I mean? Like obviously I'm sure like Dian Smart Parts or whatever the hell they're called now, like started somewhere, but not like just a bunch of pro players deciding to just will like this company out of nowhere and make it what it is. Yeah, no, really cool. And not to mention, I think their masks are really great. I mean, I've been pretty fond of JT's recently, but the Push mask itself is super nice. Yeah, it felt a lot like a pair of grills to me, but grills aren't adjustable. No, they're not. That was cool. They really did. They put a lot of like
got like a weird echo. I feel like I never liked the grills.
The grills, I think, have an echo. Yeah.
I like the profiler better.
I'm an old school dude. So actually Ryan Hart, like whenever, Trauma had those profilers, he like managed to get an extra one and gave it to me. And I had that thing for years. And then whenever it finally fell apart, I just bought another profiler. So it's kind of what I have for now, even though I should be wearing JTs with, playing with Fight Club or whatever. I go between my JTs and my profiler. Yeah, I used the white profilers forever until like literally the like rubber melted. Yeah.
I think I had you. That was
You did
your
for
way.
a long
I
time.
think
And
I had your way profile.
that strap too couldn't have been any more stretched out. The fact that thing was on your head was amazing.
Those things are
I got
so
a
hard to
big
find,
head.
just the straps for them.
I got a big head, dude. So
You got a noggin, man.
it works. It works. I wore profilers for like the longest time, and then people started wearing profilers, so I was wearing JKs because nobody's wearing them at that time. And
Yeah.
then once this whole resurgence came back, I was like, I don't want to wear what everyone else is wearing. So I got that Virtue Bio, which is all right. It's pretty good. And then I had to get that, so I got a Virtue JT mask, and it's because I ended up getting cancer last year. So, long story short, my Proflex has F cancer like written all over it. It's like
your shield bottoms are fucking so cool, dude. So fucking cool.
You know what? But I kind of stole it because like someone had FU on the bottoms, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get F cancer all over it. Like nobody can say anything about that, even if I kind of.
I'm gonna say, bro, you have cancer. You got to play that card more often. No one's gonna say shit to you.
I don't play it, man. I'm not playing it, dude. I don't try to
play
it. But if it comes up, I'm on my way. It's not totally gone. I'm on my way. Things are looking good. So.
You're in remission, though, right?
I'm done with chemo. I'm done with my chemo, but I might have to do not because I was getting it injected in me. Mm-hmm. So now I might have to go to a pill form or something like that. Yeah. It's not completely gone, but I have a little bit left in my pelvis. But it went from my brain down my back.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was
a thing for a little bit.
I mean, it is a thing, but like, well, what am I gonna do? Complain about it?
I mean, survive it and talk shit about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, later.
Yeah, that's the best plan to have. Survive it and talk shit about it later.
Well, I always have to say because like people are like, you have to save paintball or something like that, or like, like I'm like, all right, listen. It used to be like I just saved Long Island paintball. But now I just change. Now it's just say paintball. So I'm like, yeah, listen, I'll beat cancer, and then I'll say paintball. And they're like, all right, that's it. So that's like their motto, like beat cancer, then say paintball. I'm like, I got to beat cancer first, and then I'll say paintball, man. Like, I got to do one thing first, and then I can do that. All right, I got the weight of the world, but whatever, dude. I'm cool. I'm with it. Let's go.
Well, Godspeed on that last bit, dude.
Leagues. Whatever we got to do, dude.
Yeah, man. Godspeed on that last bit.
Okay, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. We're all. Yes. It's a community, man.
Yeah. As much as I give him shit, he knows I love him. But I told him I'm still not going to make fun of his gross hair because I did that before he had cancer. He's not going to rob that of me.
I think John Tinker, I was joking with him at this last. He's one of the guys that plays on Gridlock. I was joking with him about this last event. He was like, who's worse, like veteran friends or like paintball friends when it comes to like just having dirty senses of humor? And I was like, definitely paintball. I was at some point you get in legal trouble in the military. Like it's definitely paintball friends that are way worse.
Oh yeah.
As far as giving one another a hard time and just inappropriate humor that only we get.
Oh, 1,000%. All right, dude, also, so there's been someone who's played for a long time. You've seen, many different definitions of guns and stuff like that. Talk about maybe a gun that you let go that you wish you had, or maybe a gun that you had the opportunity to get back in the day that you didn't and you regret. Yeah.
So I've never been able to really have like a signature gun. I've never been able to have like a really fancy anything. Only once ever that I actually had my hands on something that was like pretty nice, but I actually ended up getting rid of that right before I had started the process of joining the service. I had it was a red acid wash Jenny Matrix.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, and to this day, like I don't know if I want to say like it's something that I wish I kept my hands on. It's just it was probably like the best looking gun that I've ever had. Like any gun that I've ever had. Whenever I first started like really playing in the Carolinas, I had a mini cocker that I had sent off to war games and got a raw vertical feed body, and that's what I played with. It was just sticker bombed, and I would play with like this raw vertical feed cocker, just because like I've never really had pockets deep enough to have like custom anything. You know what I mean? So I guess that's just the answer is like that red acid splash Ginny Matrix, but it's the best one, the best color. But at some point, I think after having my foot in the door with Fight Club this year or something like that, I'll probably have like a really nice. I'll probably get my hands on like a really nice like Fight Club EMAC. I think is what I'm probably going to aim for at some point.
Dude, those things are so nice. I use a 170R, which is basically a metal EMAC. Those things are so reliable.
I was talking to Repair Paintball. You ever watch that guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking to him the other day about like guns that have like revolutionized the sport. And I was like, EMAC is gonna make that list. No matter
it has to be, right?
EMAC.
Dude, like Angel, EMAC, like Intimidator, like SFT Shocker, like game changing, like world changing guns. You know what I mean? And EMAC is. There's no way you can't put that thing on a list as far as what it can do. I hate to say that. Like I was using EMAC whenever I was in Chicago, and like it's a blistering rate of fire. But someone gave me like a bunch of enemies, and I've got 4 kids, so I sold my EMACs, and I actually used the enemy at that CFOA Classic. I actually used the repair guys. He just made like a trigger for him. I didn't short stroke the entire time, but it shoots good, but it's not an EMAC. Like EMAC shoots lasers.
Yeah, agreed.
It has good efficiency. Shoots lasers. It's just the enemy was nice, but it just couldn't keep up.
Yeah, and honestly, it's affordable. Honestly, like $200 for a gun, like it's not bad at all.
No, it's like just a regular like EMAC 100 is like a great price, but then that new I think what is the Ether 3M or something like that.
Yeah, it's a little bit more, but it's like it's still super like
but
really
it has
good.
That the key is, dude,
the pops ASA.
Yeah. Because the EMAC is good. When it first came out, it was good, but you needed that ASA because you twisting on and like that whole thing. Like I don't know.
So if you ever listen to Carl's podcast, I was actually like fanboying on Carl in the very beginning or whatever, especially when I started my podcast. He was talking about how much
I did the same thing when he was on ours.
Yeah, he's great dude. He's super chill too.
Dude, he was so chill. But like before he comes on, it was one of the most like, I'm about to talk to Carl fucking Markowski. Get your shit together, man. Get it together.
Right. He was always talking about how he liked his factory EMAC, but same thing. Like I know that Pops ASA is like a thing. I actually bought one and laser engraved it and had it sent to him or whatever. So whenever he makes a comment about like some guy sent him an ASA, I'm actually the dickhead that sent that to him.
Dude, that's so cool.
Because it's crazy because it's like such a little thing.
It really is.
To a player and like for us, like that's the reason I asked the question, like you just asked me about like what gun do you wish you never let go? Those are things like your first places. Those are things that only we have. Like whose floor did you sleep on, or what rent payment did you miss to play this game? Like this is all stuff that like these
Top
are the things that
couches you slept on in your life.
Exactly. Like just all horrific like financial decisions that we've made playing these games or whatever, but it's something that we all do. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, sorry to get on like off a tangent or something like that.
No, it's funny you said that. I'm just staring at like a giant poor financial decision I made over here in the corner of the room.
Okay, I've got
as soon as you hit it a little too hard home, that hit it close.
I've got a comment about some stuff in the industry that I would share with you once we stop recording, or if you want to like cut it out, it's up to you. But
after we're recording, we can talk about that kind of stuff.
Okay, yeah, for sure. But I can say some dumb shit, but I'm not trying to put my foot too far in my mouth.
Hang on, because I missed the whole autococker thing. So when the autocockers made their resurgence, I decided that I was gonna dump like a couple car payments into this right here.
Look at that. Why is it always a twister body?
Because it has to be. I don't know. Isn't it nice though?
No, I mean don't get me wrong, dude. That gun is sick for sure, but.
Spend too much money on it.
Everybody's got a twister. Not everybody's got a twister. It seems like the de facto go-to, like either have like what you have, like one of the originals, or like everybody else is coming out with some kind of twister. You know what I mean?
It really is. And I walked into it too. Someone would just happen to sell it, but it is like, even though when he was like, "Yeah, do you want to buy it?" I was like, "Of course I want to buy it." And I can't even tell you why, but I fucking want it.
What kind is it?
It's a Ripper from Inception.
Okay, so Ripper Inception comes out with that, but then like someone else comes with like a special edition, like
the Geos and the
Twister or a Geo Twister, or is like somebody come up with something different. You know what I mean? Like let the guys who came up with the good shit in the beginning, like have their time or whatever, like Boston Paintball Supply and, like Inception Designs, let them do that. Like come out with something that's original. You know what I mean?
1000%. That's why I
HK
always
likes to rip off everybody.
HK also makes stuff that's affordable, so I don't know. Whatever.
They do. Their stuff is not, but yeah, they yeah. What I don't even know what I was gonna say. But like yeah, the custom goods. Oh, the prisms. Like the prism luxes that came out. I like came really close to making another poor financial decision just because it is different. You're right. Unless it's like a standard body that comes with the gun, it's a ripper.
Yeah.
And I like that they like you say whatever you want about the squares or the prism and it looks stupid, but at least it's different, dude.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. The prisms or we said prism for a minute. It started making me think of like the old OG like Planet Eclipse, like oil slick anodes and stuff like that. Like
and those are making a comeback too. I see those on some newer guns too, and they look mint.
It is crazy to see the prices on those and fucking clear anything JT stuff.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
I don't think Travis has left the conversation. I just recently bought a pair of clear bottoms.
Oh yeah,
crazy.
I'm afraid to ask what you spent on them, man.
$300.
Clear bottoms, dude. You're an idiot.
Yeah. All right. I guess we're showing off our stuff. This is what we're doing. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. But yeah, not the most icy pair, but I mean, not bad, right?
I like it. I like it how sometimes I think like the clear frame and the clear bottom is a little bit too much, but what the fuck do I know?
A little too much. I decided to put the bandana frame on it. I actually like it. The
like
little pop of white looks good.
I like it. All my shit is just like straight black, just like I was talking about being able to afford like stock stuff. Like all my shit's black. My profiler's black. My fucking goggles are black. Everything.
Yeah, I don't know. I have adult money now. I don't have any kids, so I just make poor financial decisions when it comes to the paintball products I buy.
I mean, you got to spend money on something. I joke about the guys in the chats whenever they talk about like, yo, why don't you get a Lux or something like that? And then I showed them a picture of I'm in fucking Key West with an RV. I was like, this is why I don't have a Lux.
This is my Lux. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is my Lux, dude.
Yeah. It's I can't shoot this thing, but every now and then it kind of comes in handy. Saved some people some money this last weekend though, and I only charged them like next to nothing just to crash or whatever instead of paying for hotels out there. But
and how clutch is it for a 10-man event where you're just like, yeah, dude, we're gonna sleep like out the field.
I was talking to Dave Painter at one of the Maryland events.
He has a nice setup too. His setup is
talking to
Painter.
Yeah, I was talking to him about bringing an RV. He was like, don't let your fucking scum-ass dipshit paintball friends get in there and just muddy it all up with their cleats and stuff. It was pretty funny. Like, I was like, oh, it's a good idea. I don't think they would do that, but it's a good idea to like lay down ground rules beforehand or whatever. But it was just pretty funny. It was like, yeah, your dipshit paintball friends either go in there and just fucking wreck your RV.
Yeah.
So
no number 2 on the bus, man. No number 2 on the bus.
Oh, yeah. That was laid out pretty clearly in the very beginning. Like, if you shit in there, you're dumping the tank.
But another follow-up question, it's all off tangent, but as someone who's been around a long time, have you ever like traveled overseas for paintball or anything like that?
I've not. I got an invite. So Banana Bus podcast, those guys over in England said like, hey, if you want to come over here and you need a spot to play on, you got one.
That's cool. That's really a goal of mine. I want to check that off my list. I
haven't talked to them in a little while. I've done a lot of traveling overseas, unfortunately, with the military, but never been over there for an event. As a matter of fact, it's funny you should say that. I actually just reached out to Andy Kopchak about OPL. I was like, hey, man, I don't see anything about OPL having a classic event. WTF. Are you guys not doing that now or what's going on? Because if I can't make any of the majors this year, maybe that's one of the ones I can make is rolling up to Ontario and throwing down. Never had a bad time in Ontario.
Yeah. And did you say anything? No, you got no response?
Let me know.
Nothing yet.
Go up there.
Nothing yet.
My friend Jay, well, no, I don't think he's up in Ontario anymore. I think he's on the other side. But he was involved with
Jay. I think Jay's in Vancouver though. Yeah, he's on the other side. I'm pretty sure.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure, dude. But I know he plays. Well, his boy's like the head of the OPL. I think Derek.
Yeah.
I don't remember his name. I'm sorry, Derek. Yeah, if you're listening to this, drop us a line. Okay. I'm down. If you're doing a classic event, let me and Tory know so we can head up there.
Therefore, nice. I got a passport. Let's go.
That's what you have them for, right?
Exactly. And so, fuck, what was I just going to say? I just had a nice question I was going to ask. Oh, are there any products come out recently that have really intrigued you? Because you've been around a long time. You've seen a lot of different ones. Are there any new products that you're like, hey, that's kind of nifty? Like the first thing that jumps to mind is I like the tank tool. Like for the longest
I was
time,
gonna
how
say
long?
that. I was gonna
How
say,
long
I
have
like
we
the tank
fucking
tool.
needed that, and it finally came out?
So it's really kind of like outside the box thinking, you know. And I think he's probably been using that thing for a while, or he's probably been like cooking that thing up for a while. Because I remember him hitting me up one time, like, "Hey man, I got some products that you know, I'm thinking about coming out with. What do you think?" And I was like, you know, you do you. That's all you. But that definitely sounds like something he was working on back then. It's a great. I hate to use the word organic so much, but that's like a very like that's something that a paintball player came up with.
Mhm.
You know, like there wasn't some dude sitting in a boardroom thinking about how to make money on paintball or whatever to come up. Like that's somebody who has been in
Who's
the
taken his reg off way too many times. Yeah.
yeah. Well, he told a story about one time taking a reg off. It almost like put a hole in his face
Yeah.
one time because the I think like the pressure gauge just fucked up or something like that, so we didn't know.
Right, and there was still air in it, right? And the fucking
Yeah,
reg
he's
shot
talking
him.
about when he was working at like Warp Sports and that happened.
Which is such a crazy scenario. That's like my worst fear is like my reg shooting off my tank and like
every time I fill up, I'm like, this bitch gonna blow up my hand. I know it.
right? Isn't that such a bad thought? It's like they're so safe and they're really like designed to handle way more pressure than that. But you just like every movie I've ever seen in my life has told me this is gonna go poorly.
There's just that little voice in the back of your head just screaming the whole time.
Uh-huh.
Products that are just really, really original products that I really like. God damn, that's a good question.
Only because you've seen so like you've seen so much. You've been in paintball for so long, and
Again,
every
sound like I'm farting dust, man. But
has it gone the EMEC, and then since the EMEC the tank tool, and that's about it.
Dude, so the
right,
EMAC
because
is
to lean on
obviously
what he said is like everybody rips off everything. There's almost nothing original, whether it's movies, fucking music, it doesn't matter.
God, movies, no doubt.
Dude, right?
Shit. So
and then I just thought of the tank tools. What came up to my mind, I was like, that thing is super nifty. And I wonder if something, that you thought of was like, oh, this is kind of nifty too.
There's little things here and there that I see that I'm like, okay, that's pretty original. So like for instance, like on the CMD goggles, like that little micro visor, like that.
Yeah.
I like that feature.
Integrated visor. Yeah.
I do like the way CMDs feel, but I don't play for a Virtue team anymore, so I don't have a pair. Like something like that. Like as a matter of fact, so I was at the CFOA this weekend. Whenever I was in Chicago, Infamous has like these visors. It's just like a neoprene visor that you can just like throw on. I've just bought like 3 of them because I had 2 of my kids with me at the time, and they just like wanted something. They just wanted something, so I'm like, hey, here's a visor or whatever,
Right.
Anyway, they didn't give a shit after the event, so now I've got like 3 of them, and they're just in my bag. But man, whenever it was raining at that event, the CFOA, like whenever I brought those things out, like it looked like I had brought an automobile that no one had ever seen, like back in like 1800s. They were just like, what the shit is that? Because it's just simple. It's just really kind of like good thinking on Travis's part, for just coming up with something that's kind of organic like that. And it's really just like we've all had or heard of or seen those neoprene visors, but he was finally like, hey, why don't we make one for like in a paintball or whatever? And it definitely, saved some people as far as on my team, just from shit getting all in their visors. That's not like revolutionary, but just to see people like, hey, there's like this little bit problem, just like the tank tool. Like there's this little problem, we need to fix it.
That's funny because there's an hysterical picture of my brother who plays in a push mask, and he has like fucking 4 microfibers tucked in there because it's pouring rain, but there's no visor for the pushes.
Yeah, I'm trying to actually. There's a dude in California that 3D printed some. I had a push mask briefly, and I bought one, and it looks a lot like an HK visor, but this dude had made one for the pushes. He's out there somewhere in the buy sell trade pages if you want to find him.
Hit him up.
Yeah,
or buy one from Travis over there.
Yeah. Shit. I'm really just trying to think of stuff that's like revolutionary.
Yeah, there's really, like you said, it's really hard, but I actually like the visor idea because you're right. Paintball kind of is what it is at this point,
Yeah, I see like Carbon come out with stuff sometimes that kind of seems like
I use the Carbon pack. I actually really enjoy it.
I had a Carbon pack for a little while. Just I think like the way that their stuff was put together. Like I think it was like the first company that I had seen that had like the full like the full legging, like the padding legging and
too.
Top or whatever. I think maybe like JT had something like that years ago, but it was kind of too bulky. Like this is like the first time I've seen it like be what it was supposed to be. You know what I mean?
Right, because now you see there are other companies that are coming out with it, but Carbon was really kind of the first to kind of do that, and I like it too
Yeah.
because I was someone that you chafed so bad on the knees from knee pads. So when
Oh,
they
yeah,
came out with these, I was so happy.
I'm just old and fat, so I just chafe no matter what. So like anything that helps me like survive that, I'm
Baby
good to go.
powder, baby.
So
Yeah,
much baby
yeah.
powder behind the knees, so much.
Shit, looking like LeBron out there. Yeah. Other than that, it's like you said. Like at this point, like there's people like I'm kind of curious what this new HK pack is going to be like compared to the old JT
Old,
pack.
yeah.
Like I don't know if you guys ever remember that. Like JT had a pack that kind of works similar. I don't know how it works, so I don't really want to speak on behalf of it. But it looks a lot like a pack that JT used to have, where just a shit ton of like tubes just stuffed in the pack to
Stuff
do
and
that. But yeah, man, that's a good question. That's a really good question. As far as like stuff that's just revolutionary and
right, because this is like, I mean, yeah, there's stuff like whatever. Like the thing that keeps coming up for me is because I have an LV2 is the Bluetooth thing, but it's like,
I hate technology, man. So at
does
some
my
point for
gun
me,
need
like,
Bluetooth? Like, what are we doing here? I don't care if I catch flack in this in the comments. Does your gun need Bluetooth, man? Like, what are we doing here? Like,
well, I
Jesus
mean,
Christ, man.
I'm a mechanic by trade. So like I'm an aircraft mechanic by trade. So to me, like as soon as I see something that's like new and revolutionary, the first thing I ask is like, how do you fix that as soon as it breaks? And then like,
Yeah,
how can you use it if it breaks? That's part of what I like about the EMX so much. Like, here's a valve. That's it. That's all I
that's
need.
it, baby.
Just make sure the O-ring's good and the valve's good. Good. Yeah. I mean, it's cool to have stuff. It's cool to have new stuff, but at the same time, like at some point, it kind of seems superfluous.
Right, I couldn't agree more. All right, cool, man. So, like, dude, we've been cranking for a hot minute. I want to thank you for your time. But at the
Yeah,
end,
man.
I know you do the same thing, man. Is there anyone you want to thank that has helped you, whether with the podcast, whether your paintball career? Shout
God
out to
damn,
your
dude.
wife, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, man, she's a trooper, and that's just about like the Navy stuff.
Right. Oh, wait,
Being
I
a
got one
homo-
more question. Where's like the coolest place you've been for the Navy? You said you did some traveling for the Navy. It looked like, sounded like you were perhaps overseas. Where is like
Japan,
one of the,
hands down, Japan.
oh, sweet,
I
dude. Would
love
you like
Japan.
most about the culture, the scenery? Like,
It's such a departure from anything that
so
you're.
different, right?
Yeah, I mean, it is and it's not. You know what I mean? And then also like I've had some very Ferris Bueller's Day Off moments as far as like shit that I had never planned for but happened. So for
Yeah.
instance, we were there one time and we were gonna come back to the base, and my friend was just like looking at his phone, and he was like, "So, 13 Ronin. I think 13 Ronin is that the right? Is that the
I think
right?
so.
Am I talking about the right thing? Okay, that's based off of like an actual event. Well,
Mhm.
once a year they have like this memorial parade for it, and yeah, we were there for it, and so like here comes this procession of all these people like reenacting like everything that happened. And if you ever actually like read like what happened, it was pretty goddamn gory. But like we happened to be there for that procession, or like we were. It's got to be Japan, but one honorable mention that I like to give is Wake Island. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's like 8 hours in any direction by plane. And
Honestly, I don't even know where that is. Where
yeah,
like,
it's like out in the middle of Pacific. It's like all they do is
okay,
support like aircraft and ships that just happen to be out in the area for like resupply or whatever. And we were there, and it was like during COVID, so we couldn't do anything. And then like one of the guys is like, I'm not sitting in the compound. Who wants to go on an adventure? And I was like, okay, cool, I'm down for it. And so he
yeah,
goes
not
down
doing
to
shit
the
else.
beach, and there's another island that's like a 120-yard swim. And
You
so we're
swam,
like,
didn't you?
well, I mean, because of what I did, like we had to do a lot of swimming anyway. So, whatever, 120 yards, nothing. So we get over there, and I was wearing Crocs like the whole time. And people are just like, I don't know how you have 4 kids and wearing that much birth control on your feet, just like talking shit. But then we get to the other island, and the whole island is coral. And so like they're like walking around like they're on eggshells. And I spend
You're
the
like,
next 3 hours
nerds.
talking all the shit that I can think of because I'm walking around with like Crocs on, and they're just like hating life. But yeah, it's Japan, and I'd say Iceland is an honorable mention for the second one, but Japan definitely.
That's cool, man. So you've been to a lot of cool places.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it took me away from my family for a lot of that time.
Blessing and a curse, right? You're away from your family. We get to experience some cool stuff.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, that's Japan.
Hell yeah. And now back to what I was saying before. Who do you want to thank? Anybody who's helped you get here, whether it's in the podcast or your paintball career?
Paintball Central obviously has always been there, like for as long as I can remember, to at least support me. Print Path is another one of my sponsors, as far as they do signs. media, all kinds of other stuff that you need. Dave Wooten, the guy that used to play on Trauma, owns Print Path, and so he helps me out. I've got a company that I'm trying to come out with this next year, Paintball Closet, PBK. Probably going to have like one or two things, probably mostly t-shirts like everybody else, but it is what it is. But I will say, like, Ryan Hart, probably one of the best friends I've had for my entire life. And even after paintball is long gone again, he'll probably always be there. Tyler Humphrey, Stephen Porterfield, all his friends, Dave Arkle is a friend I've had for a very long time. Just all these guys that have been around for years and years and years. And obviously, like my wife, for dealing with the bullshit between, the Navy and paintball whenever I'm gone, and on the weekends, whenever she's got to put the kids to bed and we're doing this kind of thing. Goddamn. There's just so many people over the years.
Right. Shout out to anyone if you forgot anybody. He definitely gives you.
Yeah. If I left you out, man, I'm sorry. And
we'll have him back on.
I'll commit seppuku later. Going back to the Japanese thing for for the dishonor that I gave you. But other than that, seriously, there's just a lot of really good friends over time that there's so many names that I would be remiss to try to get them all on time. But thanks for giving me the opportunity to talk to them.
Dude, of course, man. Again, thank you for coming out and hanging out with us. And thank all you guys for tuning in. I hope you had a great time. This is a great conversation with Tory here. It was great to really hear his story too, man. He does a lot of telling other people's stories. So it was great to give him time to have his own shine. And we'll catch all you guys on the next episode, man. Take it easy, guys.